Hi everyone, and welcome to chapter 3 of this Next.js course. And today we're going to be working on creating the Next.js app, configuring files and pages, and working on a responsive navigation and hero section. There was a slight change. Instead of working on a portfolio website, we are now going to be working on a hotel agency, or it could also be applied to property management, real estate management. So the reason for the change from a portfolio website to a hotel agency website is because I think it's more relevant for connecting to a database and creating a login and registration for a hotel agency or property and real estate management website. I want to mention that the code for this project you can find in the GitHub repo, which I added a link to in the description of this video. And in the GitHub repo, you'll find the main branch, which is essentially the starting point for this course code files. So you can find here the theme files, which I will be referencing continuously. And it's important to go to the chapter. So for this video, which is chapter 3, you'll find the most updated theme files and the code as well. All the JSX code, the React code, the Sass and CSS files are going to be here in that particular branch, which is in this case is chapter 3. So why don't we get started? The first thing I want to do is head over to Google and look for, I'm going to type create Next.js. What I want is the latest terminal command to use by going to the nextjs.org documentation website. Has the latest system requirements, the latest node version or later. And what I'm going to copy is this command right here in order to create a brand new Next.js project. So I'm going to click this button and copy it. Let's go back to Visual Studio Code in our terminal. All right, so let's paste the terminal command. And it's pretty basic. We're going to create a Next.js app. I'm going to give my project a name. I'm going to call it Next.js Hotel Management, but you can call it whatever you want. I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard, and it's going to start asking me a few questions. So would you like to use TypeScript? We'll select no. We're going to stick with plain JavaScript to keep our focus purely on Next.js concepts. Would you like to use ESLint? Again, we'll choose no to keep the initial setup as clean and minimal as possible. Would you like to use Tailwind CSS? We'll say no here because, as I mentioned, we'll be using Bootstrap and Sass for our styling, and I prefer to use my own CSS as well. Would you like your code inside a source directory? Let's choose no. This means our app directory will live right at the root of our project, which is the default setup and works perfectly well. And would you like to use app router? We'll say yes. TurboPack will say no. Would you like to customize the default import alias? We'll say no to this as well and just stick with the default configuration. And it's going to start installing the dependencies, which, as you can see on the screen, it's React, React DOM, Next. And it's finished. Let's go into that folder, which I just created, cd Next.js Hotel Management. And I'm going to run the following command, which is npm run dev, which is going to start a development server. And so we can see what Next.js installed by default. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to open a browser window so you can see what gets installed by default. And there we go. Next.js is running, as you can see on the terminal. Now for the next step, let's go into Visual Studio Code. And what we want to do here is open the project inside of Visual Studio Code by going to File and then Open Folder. And once you've opened the project, as you can see the name at the top, Next.js Hotel Management. Let's zoom in a little bit. And let's open the package.json file. You can see the dependencies that come with the Next.js installation. We want to install some other dependencies. So let's stop the server from running, clear the screen, and I'm going to install several dependencies. They're going to be the following. So let's write npm install or npm I. It's the same thing. I'm going to install Sass because I like to use Sass to organize my CSS styling a little bit better. I'm also going to use Bootstrap and React Bootstrap, as well as React icons. We want to use several icons from the Font Awesome website. So I think that's good for now. And it may take a little bit, but it's fairly quick. And let's go back to the package.json file, and they have been installed: Bootstrap, React Bootstrap, React icons, and Sass. So let's take a look at the different files and folders that were installed by default with Next.js. So for example, the public folder, this folder stores static assets that are directly accessible from the browser, such as images. This is where we're going to put our images. So let's delete all these images, SVG files in this case. We're not going to need them at all. We're going to add our own images. Then we have the app folder. So in Next.js, the app folder is where the magic happens. It uses a file-based routing system, meaning the folder structure defines the website's URLs. But let's delete all this for now, or let me explain first this layout.js file. And what I want to go over, for example, here, it's importing the global CSS file. So this is CSS that's going to be used throughout the whole website. Okay. Another thing to note, here we have metadata. So if we were to go back, you see at the top it says create next app at the very top of this tab. So that comes from this this JSON code that we have right here. And then there's the description. So if we just inspect this using our developer tools and just search for a description, as you can see right here. Where is it? I think I lost it. Let's hit enter again. So right here at the top, it says content equals, and the value is generated by create next app. So that's exactly what is shown right here in the layout.js file. So every single page that we add is going to have it needs to have this metadata in order for the title, description, and other things. You can also add keywords, but as of 2025, I would not recommend adding the keywords metadata. Another thing to note is the layout.js or .jsx file. So this can be let's change the name to .jsx. This whole component function is the main template for the entire. So this whole file actually is the main template for the entire website. It defines the root HTML structure and includes here's where we can, for example, we can add the NavBar. We can also add the footer. So things that are going to be used throughout the whole website is what I mean. Then we have the page.js file. It's importing the Next.js image component because it was used to add this image right here. So this image Next.js logo is being added from the page.jsx file. So the page.js or .jsx file is actually it represents the home page of the website. It's the /root. It imports and displays things that we only want to show on the home page. Okay, so now let's delete all these files as well. We're not going to use any of them for now. And let's get started adding, for example, layout.jsx and page.jsx because we're going to be writing our own code. Inside of the layout.jsx, we're going to write the following. We're going to write const main layout children inside of the curly braces return. We're going to return JSX, which is basically HTML combined with JavaScript. The language is going to be English. We're going to add the body tag. Inside of the body tag, we're going to add the main element, and here's where we add the children. Here's where all the different pages content is going to be added right here. Okay. Now we should not forget to export this main layout component. Just like that. Then let's head over to the page.jsx or the home page. I'm going to write RAFCE, hit tab. And this is very useful. I remember I mentioned the ES7 extension. That's where that snippet came from. And I'm gonna be using that snippet throughout this whole course. So let's change all this to instead say home page. So now if we go to the browser, let's see if it's running. Let's run the development server. Refresh the page. And as you can see, it just says home page. Okay. So let's start adding, for example, the assets folder. So this is going to contain files that are part of the website's source code, but aren't really pages or components. This folder is primarily for styling. So I'm going to add styles. So I just want to keep everything organized. I'm going to add so this in the styles folder is where all the styling pages are going to go. I'm going to add global.sass. So this is the main style sheet that imports all other style files. It sets up global styles for the entire website, like fonts and default link behavior. We're going to add also the custom.sass file. So this file defines custom variables. That's what I'm going to use it for, such as primary and secondary colors, fonts that we want to use throughout the website. And we're going to be reusing these variables and colors, fonts. We're going to mainly store them like this, for example, just for the color, something like that. We're going to use this throughout the whole website. So whenever we create another styling file for the components and pages, we want to reuse these variables. So we want to keep styles organized and easy to manage. What's next? Let's go to the global.sass file, and I want to import the custom sass file. So we want to import all the variables we're going to use. We also want to import Bootstrap. And I really can't find one of these keyboard. I can't find this one. So I just copied and pasted that. What else? I'm gonna add several global styles. For example, for the body, paragraph tags, links, images, things like that. Let's add a comment global styling and paste the following. So you can, let me show you where to get this styling. So you can also copy and. So I don't want you to be writing this line by line. This is a Next.js course, not a CSS or HTML course. So going to GitHub, writing, and you're gonna be able to see these theme files. And then we're at chapter 3. Let's see, theme files. So here we have the style.css. And right now what we want to add to the global.sass file is starting from right here, all the way here. So all this code. Okay, so you can copy and paste it, which I just did. Now, there's already variables that were added to this global Sass file. Let's import those global variables from the GitHub repo. So going to the GitHub repo, let's go to styles custom.sass. We want to use these variables. So let's go to custom. Let's delete what's already there. So these are just some primary, secondary fonts that we're going to be using. What else? We want to use also Google Font Inter. So we're basing the whole website from this landing page, okay? And this will be in the video description, the link to it. It's a fairly simple landing page. It's not so responsive, so I added my own responsiveness to this website. Looks like it is, but there's just some styling, different styling that I prefer. So we're going to be adding a login registration button, sign-ups, a way to search hotels. We're going to be populating this section with the different hotels that are going to come from the database. Some tours, some blog posts as well, some testimonials, and some frequently asked questions as well. So let's go back to Google Font. We're going to import this font. It's Inter. As if you were to go back to the theme and go ahead and look at the font that's being used, it's called Inter. So all you have to do is search for, on Google, search for the Google font of Inter, and then click on Get Font, get embed code. Yeah. Let's see, we want to click here where it says add import, and this is what we want to copy inside of the global .css file, .sass file, just like that. What else? Now we can, well, yeah, that's what we want to do because the body is using the Inter font family, right? So now let's get started adding the different pages. There's the about, blog, pricing, login. Let me see which ones I had created. So what I added was the home, about, contact, and hotels pages. So let's go to app. I'm gonna create a folder called about, another folder called contact, and another one called hotels. So those are the pages we're gonna have for now. Inside of about, I'm gonna create a new file called page.jsx. same thing for contact, and another for hotels. So right now that we're at the hotels page, I'm going to type RAFCE, hit tab, call this hotels, delete the first 2 lines of code, go to the contact page, RAFCE, hit tab, change this to contact, delete the first 2 lines of code, go to about, same thing, change this to about, just like that. So now if you go to localhost 3000, we type in the URL, we type /about, you'll see the about page, contact, and hotels page. Now let's get started working on the components. So in the root, let's close all these files. At the root of the project, we're going to create a folder called components. And here's where all the components are going to go. Let's get started with the NavBar. So I'm going to type capital NAV, capital BAR, JSX, type RAFCE, that the name's good. Delete those 2 lines, the first 2 lines. So the NavBar is something that's going to show up on every single page. Now, I'm going to type something at the top called use client. So use client on line 1 is a special instruction for Next.js, and it's very important. By default, all components in the Next.js app directory are server components. This means they run on the server to generate HTML, which is great for performance and SEO. However, sometimes you need a component to be interactive in the user's browser, the client. You need a client component if it uses hooks like useState or useEffect to manage the state. And we are going to use useState on the NavBar component. And also in the case of, we want this to be a client component because we're going to use event listeners like onClick or onChange. Those are all interactive functions that the client, the user is going to click buttons, and it's going to change the view part of the website. So by placing use client at the very top of the file, you are telling Next.js this component and any other components imported into it should be treated as client components and not server components. In the actual, so yeah, that's basically what I mean, why we're using use client. Let's create the menu. Let's start doing that. So I want to separate the menu. This is just a useful way to organize the menu links. So I created an array with different objects, and we're going to add the label of home. So basically, I'm writing out all the menu items I want in the NavBar. Another object, this time for the about page. The href is obviously going to be /about. Another object for the contact page, href /contact. Another object, this time for the hotels page, and it's href value of /hotels. So we're done with the menu items. Now I'm gonna import some HTML, excuse me. So I'm gonna go back to the repo. And inside of chapter 3, we have the theme files, navbar.html. I'm going to import all this. I'm just going to copy and paste it here inside the return statement. and let's get started building this component. So there is a useful, let's actually cut this out. I want to give you a useful website to use. I'm going to type HTML to React converter, HTML to JSX, delete this, type the following. So this is what we want. We want JSX. We don't want to include HTML because for a React component, we can't use just the class attribute with that, just class in lowercase. We need to use class name with uppercase N. So HTML, the attributes are gonna be quite different. So what's the whole point of having all these list items written out like that? I prefer to write them myself dynamically. So what I'm going to do is let's add a class name. Excuse me. Let's import. Let's add the menu items dynamically. So I'm going to use the map function. Item index. Open curly braces. I'm going to type li. Now since this is a list, each list item needs an index. This is for React purposes, so this is very important. Inside here, we're gonna use links. Now we can use this type of link, but in our case, this is for routing purposes. So we can't just use a simple HTML link. We need to import the link Next.js component. Okay, so it's capital L link. It has a closing tag inside of the first link tag. We're gonna write href equals item.href on the next line. We're gonna give this a class name of the following. So I'm basically starting a function here. It's backticks path name equals item.href question mark active. And this is going to be for styling purposes. And let's not forget the label, item.label, just like that. So let's go to the browser and see what we get. Oh yeah, let's go to layout.jsx. Here we're going to add that NavBar component. Just like that. Now let's go to the browser. Oh, we need to add the following. We need to add here the path name. We need to get the URL. We need to get this URL. So that's the path. So let path name equal use path name, just like that. But we need to import it first. Oh, excuse me, we're in the wrong component. Let's go over here to the NavBar component. Add it to the top inside of the NavBar function. We need to first import the use path name from next navigation. Okay, so I know why this is happening, why this isn't showing up. We shouldn't have written a curly brace here or here. There we go. And remove this. So this should be working now. Just refresh the page. Oh, that's taken a long time, but there we go. Here are the nav items, the menu items, I mean. So on to the next step. So we want to add several other things here. So this can be a link. The logo container can be a link, right? Just like that. Now for the image, this has to be an opening span, and then we have a closing span element. Inside, we're going to have the FA hotel font awesome icon. So let's go up to the top and import FA hotel from React icons. So React icons FA, just like that. There we go. It's showing up right here at the top. Let's not worry about that. Let's not worry about the styling right now. What else? Now we need to, let's see. Okay. What else? What else? So there's no point in showing this button if the user is already logged in. Okay. So right now, I'm gonna assume we're not logged in. So let's go to the top and let's use the use state hook, import use state from React. Let's go over here inside of the NavBar function, const is logged in, set is logged in equals to use state false. So we are not logged in right now. Now, since we're not logged, now let's use a next JavaScript expression for this list, the last list item. So I'm going to say is not logged in. So this would be false. Right now, this is going to be true, obviously, because we are not logged in. Opening parentheses and closing parentheses. Here's where the list item is going to go. Just like that. What else? So let's set this to true. So we can test it out. So it's going to be gone right now because assuming we're logged in, it won't show up. Assuming we're not logged in, the button is going to show up in order for us to log in or to register. Now, I do want to add the complete navbar styling. So what we're going to do inside of the assets styles, I'm going to create another file. Let's see what it's going to be components. Let's create the components here. Just want to be organized with our components and styling. Components navbar sass, just like that. And let's go to the GitHub Repo, chapter 3, of course, then assets, styles, components, navbar. I'm just going to copy all of this. So you can hit the raw button and just copy all of it, or you can just select everything right here. You just need to scroll down and make sure you select everything. I'm going to paste it inside of navbar.sass. Then let's go back to the global Sass file, and I'm going to import the navbar styling. Assets, assets, styles, components, /navbar, just like that. Oops, what happened? We forgot the semicolon, just like that. Go back to the browser to see how it looks. Where is it? Oh, there we go. It's working. So what's next? We need to work on the hero section. Oh, let me see. We need to make this responsive as well. So there should be an icon right here. That would be the menu, the hamburger icon, you can call it. So let's import it. Go back to navbar.jsx. Since this is also a font awesome React icon, it's going to be FA bars, I believe it is. And then go down. This should be an opening tag. Let's close the div tag. Here's where we're going to add the FA bars. FA bars icon, class name, menu bars, because we already added the styling. Just like that. So now if we make the browser smaller, it'll show up. There is a problem though. The menu items are not showing up. So let's fix that. Let's go ahead and do that. We need to, right here at this FA bars div container, we're going to add an on-click functionality. Opening brackets, opening and closing parentheses. Set is, well, let's erase this first. Let's set the use state of that. We're gonna have to use state because we don't know if it's open or closed whenever somebody clicks the menu bars. So this is gonna be opening and closing. This is gonna be an array. Is mobile menu open. Set is mobile menu open. Use state false. Just like that. And then let's go down to the container once more of the menu bars and set on and on-click function. So whenever this is clicked, set is mobile menu open. We're going to set it to whatever it is right now. So if it's false. So right now, when someone clicks this, it's going to be closed because it's false. Okay. So we're just going to set this to whatever the opposite of the state it's in. So is mobile menu open, just like that. Let's go up. Let's make this browser smaller. Click it. Looks like it's not working. I know what we forgot. We forgot to add something else. Just like over here in the class name of the unordered list is mobile menu open. If true, set the class name to be active. If not, just be empty. Again, let's make this browser smaller. And there we go. And we have the hover functionality and it's mobile responsive. I think we can now cover the hero section. This hero section that's going to be underneath the navbar of the home page only. So we go to the page.jsx. This is where we want to add the hero section. So I'm going to use the following. I'm going to use a fragment. Here's where the hero is going to go. But let's import it first. Import hero from the components is where we're going to create that file, hero. Right now it doesn't exist, so let's go to the components folder and create a new file called hero.jsx, RAFCE tab. Change this, let's just leave it as hero. And let's remove the first two lines of code. So for the hero, what we're going to do, we're going to add use client at the top because this is a client component, not a server component. And let's go to the GitHub repo. Let's go to the theme files. We have the hero HTML. Let's copy all of this. Let's add it right here. Opening and closing parentheses. Hero just like that. So let's see how it looks right now. Oh, I see. So let's not forget to convert the HTML to React. Just like that. Copy this, new JSX. And here's where we're going to, oops, just like that. There we go. Let's go back to the browser. So we do have some JSX now showing up. Something that is missing is the image that we want on the right side. Just like the theme, we want this image. So what I did, I created a Google Drive folder to store all the images. So I'll add the link to this Google Drive folder. But what we basically want to get from this public folder is the image for the hero section. I'm going to download this. Go back to Visual Studio Code. And in the public folder, I'm going to create a folder called images. Inside of that, I'm going to create a folder called hero section just to stay organized. And I'm going to import the image. So I'm going to copy and paste it, put it inside of the hero section folder. I'm going to rename it to hero image, just like that. Go back to the hero, and we need to add the image as a background image. So this is where it's going to be added. But we first need to import it at the top. It's going to be import hero image from at the public folder images hero section hero-image.png, and then go down over here, remove this, use backticks URL, open an expression, hero, don't forget to add the source property. Go back to our browser and it should be showing up now. No. Oh, I know what's going on. We need to add the styling. So let's go back to our repo. Go to the styles.css, and here at the top is all the hero CSS. Right, that just like that. So we need to create, instead of the asset styles component, a hero.sass file. Paste that in. Go back to our browser. It's not showing up just yet. So what we need to do is go to global.sass and import that new style sheet. Assets, styles, components, hero, and semicolon. There we go. The styling is right there. And it's also responsive.